now that Jim's here, we definitely can. Pick it up. I'm Dawn Marie Driscoll, and I want to welcome you to the Community Foundation. Welcome you to our newly decorated boardroom with all the Neil Bennett art, so I hope you have a chance to look at it. Let's do a very quick, around the table, everybody just mention your name. You can't give a speech, because we're going to get you out on time. Everybody knows Jacqueline, I think, works at the foundation.
I'm Alan Isaacs. I'm the director of the Jewish Federation of the Charlotte Counties.
Marshall Bauer with Foundation for Lee County Public Schools.
Carolyn Black with the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools.
Carson Turner, Commissioner from Hendry County.
Julianne Sparks, Coalition Chamber of Commerce and Hendry County Tourism.
Donnie Nelson with the Chamber of Commerce.
Steve Pontius with Waterman Broadcasting.
John Gamba, proud trustee of the Community Foundation.
Fantastic.
I'm Bill Grizz with Hodges University.
Beth Sanger, Cape Coral Community Foundation. Welcome, Hendry County.
Tim Halverson, pastor of the church in Cape Coral.
I'm Carrie Blackbaum Hussey with the United Way of Charlotte County.
Jim Nathan, Lee Memorial Health System.
Steve Brettholz, Myers Brettholz and Company.
Lori Wilson, representing GCSFRE and Myers Brettholz and Company.
Ed Kamenowski, Southwest Florida Community Foundation.
Sasha Storsberg, Junior League of Fort Myers. Jillian Fay, Junior League of Fort Myers.
Hi, Deborah Falk with Wells Fargo.
I'm Melissa Congress, Charitable Foundation of the Islands.
I'm Chris Smith. I'm from the United Way.
I'm Mavis Miller, Price Foundation.
I'm Wayne Miller, Price Foundation.
And in the back, Ian.
Ann Douglas, Director of Programs at the Community Foundation.
Hello, I'm Lisa Heydrich, and I'm with HT Group Consulting.
I'm Susie Mertz. I'm the Qualitative Research Consultant.
Hi, I'm Dan Beverly with Public Communication Management.
Melinda Isley with M Creative PR.
Okay, my job is to welcome all of you and introduce Sarah, who's going to introduce the others. But I told Sarah that I was going to give you an overview of how I look at this project. And you can tell I'm a grandmother. So we have a red Lego that is a nonprofit. Pick any of your nonprofits. Sits over here by itself, right? We have donors who give maybe to this nonprofit, maybe to a couple others, but the donors are over here. We have a volunteer for a nonprofit here. We have a board member of a nonprofit, but we, and I put the foundation in this we have always looked at everybody separately. Donors come in here, we send out a grant here to this nonprofit, maybe this nonprofit or that nonprofit. This project is to build a house or the tower, or whatever my grandson builds, for 5 counties, and we are going to look at all the pieces together and see what the structure looks like. See whether in the last 5 years the structure's gotten weakened, which ones are stronger, how we can help the structure, our social infrastructure, our civic society. That's how I think of it, this pile of Legos. So now we give you the real content. I think you all know Sarah Owen.
Well, thank you, first of all, so much for coming. I think almost every one of you I've had the opportunity to either talk to on the phone or meet face to face, and I had one of those moments when I came in and saw people actually came to the meeting. I was really thrilled, and I was, because you invite people to things that you're excited about, you invite people to things that you're inspired by, and you're just really hoping that they're going to come and learn more about it. And you all were so gracious to spend the time with me that we spent one-on-one where we talked a little bit about the project, and I just kind of introduced you to it with the promise that more would come. More information, more insight, and more importantly, more insight from each of you, because this is a project that we don't want to do in a silo. The foundation is thrilled to be kind of facilitating and bringing people together, but this isn't our project. We really see this as a regional project. So I lured you all here and you came, which I'm extraordinarily appreciative of, but I thought I should start out right away with the idea of why are you here, other than I called and emailed and wrote and met with you individually to get you here. I wanted to really put this in your mind before we got started. So as you're listening to the presentation, you might be thinking, why am I here and what are they expecting from me? You know, what do they need from me? I've agreed to be on this advisory council at just the most basic level, but what else can be expected? And so I kind of wanted to lead off with that so you had that idea throughout the presentation as you learned more. One of the big reasons that you're here is I certainly don't want to go this alone. This is a huge project. It's going to take a lot of different players with a lot of different bits of expertise. I often say I learn something new every day from people that are smarter than me, and most everybody is smarter than me about something. So you're really here as wisdom givers, as people who have different perspectives on investing in our region. If you look around the room and you kind of heard the introductions, I hope you kind of saw the common theme here that you're each capacity builders. That's why you were brought to the table, because we need your input. And you're going to learn a little bit more later this afternoon on when I say capacity builders, what I actually mean by that. You all know people we don't know. You're interacting with people in your communities, in your organizations. You know, there's this idea that people come together on an advisory council and they kind of come together and think, I'm representing my organization, I'm representing the United Way of Lee and Henry and Glades, or I'm representing the Cape Coral Community Foundation. But when we come together for a project like this, what we're really saying is we're going to now represent the region. We're going to be community leaders. And it's a little bit of a shift. You're taking your organizational hat off and you're putting your community hat on. And the thing that we're going to put in the center of the table is the thing that we're all going to agree we're trying to solve together. We're going to kind of get a little bit of alignment around that today and a little bit of agreement. Again, you know people we don't know. After today's meeting, you're going to come to me, I hope, and say, you know who really needs to be involved in this? I have to tell you, some of you are here today because you saw the article in the paper today and you self-identified. You said, hey, I need to be a part of this. You're speaking to me, you're speaking to the work that I'm doing. And so that's the way these things kind of work. The other thing you can do is tell people about the project. In your folders today, you'll see that you've got a list of the members of the Advisory Council. Of course, with all of our schedules, not everybody can make it today. There's members on the council that are engaged and enthused, but they just couldn't join us, so you'll see a list of everyone that's there. You're also going to see a talking points document. And that's just going to give you a quick overview. It's going to remind you of what the project is, because now people are going to start asking you about it. We're going to start doing data collection. It's going to be out in the community more, and we just wanted to give you those talking points so that in a nutshell you would be able to feel comfortable in saying it, because we're hoping as you go out and interact with the people you interact with that you're going to talk about this project. You're going to say, hey, have you heard what's going on regionally and what's happening in the Southwest Florida region? Probably just as important of, you know, how can I help, or what am I doing here, is why are we doing this? You know, Sarah, I came to the meeting, I agreed to be on the advisory council, you told me a little bit of the project, but why are we even doing this? And I have to say, and I discussed this with some of you in our one-on-one meetings when I had the opportunity, but most of you know I'm fairly new at the foundation. I've been here about 7 months, and one of the big things that I did right when I got here was go on a listening tour, because I had a lot to learn. And the listening tour really began to reveal some things for me, because I was meeting with Dawn Marie's Lego Pieces. I was meeting with the individual not-for-profits. I was meeting with private family foundations. I was meeting with donors who have significant funds, not just in this community foundations, but community foundations throughout the region. I was meeting with all of those components regionally, and I was starting to hear some themes. I was starting to hear things from the not-for-profits like, we don't really know how we're going to make up the gap. We don't really know how we're going to build capacity in the future because we just don't have the toolkit that we need. I heard from funders, Sarah, there's more requests than there's ever been before, and we don't know how to make the best decisions anymore. My phone is ringing off the hook. I don't have a way to know who is doing really the important work in the community. And then I heard from large national funders that said, hey, we know your region is hard hit, but we can't pour any money in there because you regionally have not identified regional needs. I think Jim Nathan had a great quote in the paper today where he specifically called out a grant that Lee Memorial Health System and others had gone after, and they were really hitting hard at community level of an issue. But the money went to other places because they were addressing it as a regional need. So as we at the foundation started to look at sharpening our mission to really address these regional needs, we realized that we really needed to move from transactional philanthropy to transformational philanthropy. Now, that's kind of those catchwords and those catchphrases. But what I found on my listening tour is everybody, no matter what role they were playing, were out chasing, and I put this in quotes, donors. Everybody was looking for the next donor who was willing to give to an organization. But what we weren't doing was cultivating transformational investors. And the difference in that is that an investor is engaged in the community. They're engaged in the issue. They might be engaged in the health of children or the education of children or childhood obesity. Those investors aren't looking to give one-on-one to an organization. They're looking to say, we're involved, we're philanthropists, and we're engaged, and we want to begin to transform the community. We want to make significant changes. And so many of you in here that are funders, when we met one-on-one, said the same thing. We're just not sure that our money is having an impact anymore. We write the checks, we issue the grants, and I've gotten a little bit of teasing for my quote about, hey, I just don't want to be an ATM machine anymore. But the people that are funding are kind of saying the same thing to me. You know, the organization pulls up, we issue a grant, and we're never quite sure in the end if it really, really made a difference. So that all sounds great, right? How many times have we been on advisory councils where we've said, oh, we're going to get together and we're going to begin to solve problems regionally? Who in the last 3 years has been on any kind of board or council that said, what we really need to do is what? Solve these problems regionally. Let me see a show of hands, all right? It's kind of a universal catchphrase right now. So this is the kind of thing where you say, well, it sounds good on paper, but, you know, how are we going to do it? And we're going to get into this in the next few minutes to really talk about how we're going to make that happen. We know that to really inspire investors, we've got to gather data. We've got to start leading from a place of knowledge, just not antidotes. We know we've got to get that data, we've got to gather it, and we can't do it at a community level. We need to do it at a regional level. Next, we've got to interpret that data. Data for the sake of data with no interpretation really is a struggle for most people. You can have all the greatest data in the world, but as a team and as an advisory council and as a community and a region, if we can't interpret that, we don't have anything to inspire the investors with. Then we can point them to the organizations that have this high capacity to deliver. And it's that process of gathering, interpreting, and pointing them to the organizations with capacity that really gets the regional networking going. I promised all of you that we weren't going to have meetings just for the sake of meetings. We're not interested in talking about it. We're interested in the process of changing things. So with that mysterious capacity word, at this point I'm going to turn things over to two of the people on the team that are leading the project. One is Dr. Dave Fleming, who serves as a senior strategist here at the foundation. He is a nationally known speaker and author. He works with health systems across the country, Raytheon, a number of companies doing strategic planning, leadership development, and he's done a lot of work in developing capacity and what that really means. And then he's going to turn it over to John Talmadge, who I just called the data rock star. That's pretty much how I introduce him. But John is I try. You know, you're a data guy. I'm trying to, you know, pump that up. He's a senior research fellow at the Metropolitan Center at Florida International University, and he's the former CEO of Social Compact, which is a non-for-profit think tank in Washington, D.C. This is the kind of work that he did all day long. We're just lucky now that he lives out on Sanibel. And our relationship formed organically. He came in to kind of talk to me about some of these issues, and I said, so what are we going to do about it? And the rest is history. So with that, Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you, and